Hey guys, Tina here. Today I'm doing the review of The Magicians by Lev Grossman. This is book 3 in his trilogy, and this review is going to be full of spoilers, so if you haven't read the book, please do that and come back at a later point. At the end of the previous book, The Magician King, we saw that Quentin was banished from Fillory, and now he's back on Earth, and surprisingly, he's doing pretty well. He's actually embracing his life. He realizes that he does not need Fillory in his life to be fulfilled, and he's actually, taking huge steps and, making his life on Earth work. He finds a job and he's pretty satisfied with it, and then, things obviously go south, and he finds himself in the middle of adventure again. Alongside Quentin's life, we also get to follow what's happening in Fillory, and we realize that Fillory is dying. So those are the two main plots that intertwine throughout the book. Quentin as a character has grown so much from book 1. Now for the first time he's a mature guy. He finally knows that, Fillory or any other source is not going to fulfill him, that it has to be himself that does that. And for once, he's pretty happy with his life. He is fine with being on Earth without ever going back to Fillory. He is actually enjoying his job as a teacher, which I never imagined he would actually do. But yeah, he's pretty satisfied. The only point that we see that is still bugging him is the fact that, Alice is a Niflheim and he wants to help her, which is sort of his mission throughout the book. Now, as I read this book, I found there to be a strong correlation between Fillory and Quentin. Not just in this book, but throughout the series. Now, in book 1, we get to see Quentin as he's pretty lost. He does not know what to do with himself. He dreams of Fillory, and once he realizes that it's real, it's his dreams come true, and he's very happy to be able to go there, and he's ecstatic. And Fillory is this magical land. He's even better than he expected, right? In book 2, from the very start, we see that Quentin is not as happy in Fillory as we would expect him to be. The fact is that the position of king in Fillory is not as fulfilling as he hoped that it would be. The fact is that Fillory does not really need kings and queens to run itself, because it basically does that all of its own. And Quentin is unsatisfied again, so he decides to go on a quest. And luckily, basically, Fillory provides him with one, because as we learn, magic is dying out, and Quentin has to do his best to prevent that from happening. And now in book 3, when he's finally at peace with himself and the fact that he will probably never see Fillory again, we learn that Fillory's dying. So, now that he doesn't need it, Fillory's dying. And I thought that's a really interesting correlation. I don't know if it's actually related, if that was planned, but that's the connection that I saw between the two sort of characters, because Fillory in itself, I kind of view it as a character in these books because it plays such a vital role, and because of this growth, and change throughout the books, I would say. So at the end of the book, we actually see Quentin save Fillory once more. He, for a while, becomes a god and fixes all its problems, and then actually gives his godliness back. He does not want to be a god there. Now, this action of him being a god and solving these problems really reminded me of Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. I'm not going to go into details here because I do not want to spoil that book, but for those of you who've read both these books, you will know what I'm talking about. I found just these potential connections between books are really fascinating, and I really enjoy them. These books basically sort of go back to basics. There's a lot of Chatwins in this book. We get to learn about the past Chatwins and their actions, as well as the present Chatwins, and it's really fascinating that this family is so connected to this land. We also get to explore a lot more of Fillory, and it's still a very fascinating land. Grossman really knows how to work his imagination, and it's really... I've mentioned this many times, but I really admire his imagination. It just seems like it has no bounds, and the things that he comes up with are just so enjoyable to read about. So I really love Fillory as a land. The writing style is still as great as in the previous two books. There's a lot of description and crazy metaphors that Grossman comes up with. And the pace is still slow. There's a lot of humor, especially Eliot's chapters are very enjoyable to read in that regard. There's a lot of references to Harry Potter and Tolkien, which are always fun to read. And yes, there's, you know, you can see him pulling all the threads from even book one, you know, as far as book one, together and tying them in these pretty little bows. There are a few loose ends, but nothing major. All in all, it was a great conclusion to the series. I really enjoyed it, and I will definitely be picking more Grossman up at some point. Anyways, this is all for this review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you read the book, please let me know down in the comments if you agree with my assessments. If you have some different topics to discuss, I will be glad to do that, and see you in my next video. Bye!